everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, as part of our kind of little at-home series here, talking about Belgium, I'm going to be talking about the weather. So, I think sometimes there's too much doom and gloom around it, but I want to be like real and honest too. So let's talk about it. All right, so the weather here, what is it like? You can look up like the temperate zones of the world and see where we are. I think we're like a 7 or something, or an 8, I don't know. Let me give you the perspective of where I'm coming from with my ideas on the weather. First, I was born and raised in the Pacific Northwest, which means I grew up in Oregon, just outside of Portland. I am very familiar with rain. It doesn't mean that I love it. It just means I'm very familiar with it. Growing up, if it was raining, either you geared up and you made do, or you stayed inside. There was no in between. However, I will say that Belgium tends to get a bit colder than where I used to live. So, how it looks here is the fall tends to be pretty moderate, I'd say in the 50s, which is pretty average, and it's not that bad. If it's a sunny day, go outside and love it. Sometimes it'll predict rain, and you're like, oh, it's gonna rain, bummer. But like, it might just rain for a few minutes, or it might rain for an hour or two, and then the rest of the day is clear enough to go outside. So if there is sun, like right now, even though it's cold, I sent my kids bundled up outside to take advantage of some sunshine. So that's pretty typical for most of your colder weather. Even though it's cold, you'll want to bundle up and take advantage of any sunshine you can get. I typically am less willing to go out in the rain, but I'll still do it. Now, it's because I'm a grumpy old lady, I don't know. I also work in a building where the windows are open all day, and so I freeze all day, and I don't like it. So I don't tend to want to spend my free time continuing to freeze, despite wearing many layers. Okay, that being said, kind of the downside. Yes, there will be rain. There just will be rain, it rains. It's not horrific monsoon, day in, day out, weeks on end rain. There was like a couple of freak days this past spring where it caused flooding, and that was very sad for those communities, and they're still trying to, fix everything. But it's not like typical. It isn't. And as for like the spring, it starts to warm back up again. You're looking at like the 60s, right? Which is like nice, and you want to be outside. And like, I'm cool with being outside in warm rain. That doesn't bother me at all. Like, umbrella, sweater, let's go. And so kind of like ebbs and flows on how much I want to be out in the weather. That's just the truth of the matter. I've lived in lots of different states. I've been in a lot of different weather, and I just am at the point in my life where I like to be comfortable, whatever that happens to mean, and I'm fine being outside in the heat. So I like to stay like 50s and above, okay? 50s is like the coldest that I want, but that is not the life that I live in right now. So it is currently like 43 degrees, I think. My kids have some jackets, they're bundled up, the sun is out, despite the fact that maybe an hour ago it was raining, and they're outside having fun. So there you go. Is there seasonal depression? Yes, absolutely. If you are prone to that or not experienced with it, that's something that you'll want to take care of and consider and manage however you feel necessary. Weather here, yes, you can feel like, man, it's just been like gray or like blah and cold. And most of the time, if it's bad weather, you have indoor options. You can go to movies or jump parks or museums or whatever, and right now that just isn't a possibility all the time, where it changes a lot. It's like that's where things get frustrating, and maybe you feel depressed because you're home more than you'd like to be, or you're just sick of being outside in the cold weather. During the summers, there can be heat waves. Our first summer here, there was a heat wave, and we had to like run out really quickly and get an air conditioner because we were just like sweating to death. It was like 90s. That most homes don't have built-in HVAC systems at all. So any venting that happens in your home is what you create. In heat waves though, when it's like 95, coming up on 100 degrees, you'll want an air conditioner and you have to work out how you're going to vent it, etc. But it is good to still have an air conditioner. Anyway, so are there ways to manage the weather and how you're feeling at home? Yes. Just, you know, heaters to stay warm and air conditioning to stay cool, and the weather is what it is. I will say that our second summer here was more moderate. It was not as hot and it was a bit rainier. This was right around the time, kind of early summer, I think, when that flood happened out in Namur and Liège. And so those are those are far away anyway. Not that it can't happen here, it just isn't as likely. Anyway, I digress from weather. The weather is just year round, I would say moderate. If you have the right stuff, it's totally easy to be prepared for whatever happens outside. Layers, 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 okay? If I'm home all day, like today, I just have on a long sleeve and a sweater. This area is actually really warm, but my hallway and my kitchen and going up my stairs don't have any heating sources. So you can open the door and like you're freezing even though it's warm in this room. And so if I'm home all day, I don't have to worry about wearing 10 layers. I'm comfortable in my own home. Days that I go to work, when it's cold, we have windows open, I am out in the elements more, I will wear, no exaggeration, probably 5 layers. So I'll have a short sleeve and a long sleeve, and then like a cardigan, and then this sweater, and then like a jacket. I'm serious. That's because I'm exposed to those elements, the weather, the cold, whatever, all day long. It's very different if you're just running to the grocery store, jumping out of your car, going in, coming back out. You don't have to be all bundled, just throw on a raincoat. If it's raining, you're fine, right? As for snow, it hasn't snowed yet this year. It did snow our first winter. It was about 3 inches maybe, and it lasted for a couple of days. Not huge on snow in this exact area, but there's potential it could be a little snow. So while there are moments of it maybe being cold and gray here, you have to decide, do I want to take advantage of it, the fact that it's not raining, even if it's cloudy, bundle up, go do something? Or do I want to go out in the rain even if it's cold? Like, you can kind of decide how you want to react to it all. We do have a lot of activities at our home that keeps everyone busy. We have a whole like theater room, and our top floor is all for entertainment, because we knew we were going to need things to do while we are maybe feeling stuck inside. There are people who are amazing. They get their 1,000 hours of outdoor time every year. There are people that they just put on the rain gear and they put on the layers, and rain or shine, warm or cold, they're outside doing amazing things. There's a lot to see and do here in terms of recreation that is not, what's the word, maybe like touristy or whatever. So you can go to like cool parks and different, what do they call them, provincial domains, and these areas that like absolutely stunning, especially if you're willing to drive away from this little area and go for a hike and like see these cool areas. People do it all the time, even when it's cold, even when it's rainy. They just bundle up and they make the best of it. I know that's easier said than done. Right now, even as we're talking, I can see the clouds coming. It's covering up the sun. I'm sure my kids will be in any minute because it's gonna obviously cool down a little too, be a little bit darker. Short days sometimes make it hard to get a lot done, especially if you're working. So, you know, if the sun rises at 8:30 and sets at 4:30, like that's a short day. But then the opposite is true of the summer, and I love it. I love that the sun sets at 10:30 at night. I love the long summer days. I love them. They give me life. What else? It can get windy here. We in particular, because we're in farms where our house is and there's nothing around us. There's nothing to block wind. So we do get strong winds coming in from one side, and sometimes that can be noisy, or it can obviously create airflow. And we'll be like, how did the entryway get so dirty? It just the wind blows stuff in through cracks, despite having covers for the door. We've seen no major storms. We've heard some thunder and lightning storms. We've never actually seen them because they were like super late at night. Trust me, I will notice when it rains. And I have the umbrellas, and I have thin and thick rain gear. Thin and thick, did I say that right? Yes. So for when it's warm and raining, I have like a thin, just like a plasticky zip up little jacket that I got from Decathlon. And I also have like the thicker winter coat, like a ski or like snowboard jacket, to also like deflect water if it's cold. Because again, I'm the biggest baby, I admit it. I tell my coworkers and I tell the students all the time, I'm a big fat baby, and like, why do you have a jacket on? Because I'm still freezing, okay? So if you have the right gear for when it is poor weather, you can totally make it happen. And again, how that affects you depends on what your day looks like. The first year we were here, I was completely stay-at-home mom, and so me being outdoors was walking to my van to drive my kids to the bus, and then back inside. Walking to my van to go grocery shopping, and walking into the store and back, and then back home. I was in my house, comfortable and warm or cold, whatever, exactly how I wanted to be. Now that I'm working, it's a little different because I don't have control. So I have to make the best of my situation, which means wearing all those layers, and I don't care. I don't care. I'm always cold, so I'm always wearing layers. And I'm warm now just in this. I don't have to have 20 layers. Those clouds are going past. Do you want to see the clouds? There we go. You can see that we had sun and it is now disappearing right there. And here we have these clouds rolling in. It was raining earlier. So that's kind of a little peek into the weather. Yeah, I hear my kids. Anyway, there's a little peek into the weather. Kind of, it can change quickly here. It's very possible to have rain for 45 minutes and then it's clear the rest of the day. If you see a forecast and it says raining, look at the percentages, because like a forecast of 10% rain, don't let that keep you inside. It's not gonna rain. It's not gonna monsoon on you all day. It might sprinkle for a few minutes, you can go on your way. Like seriously, there's so many times we missed out on stuff because we saw rain. We're like, oh, let's just change our plans. Oh, let's do something else. Let's not go out here or there or do this and that. And then we're like sitting here and we're like, where's the rain? They said it was gonna rain. So it's not that the weather postings are inaccurate. It's just that when they list those percentages, like 10 to 30% chance of rain, and then if you look at the hourly stuff, you just have to be a little more of a digger and dig a little more in the information, because sometimes you just look at a glance and it shows rain. You can really miss out. And so definitely like dig into the weather and see what it's really gonna be like, and kind of decide what you're willing to handle. And I really, like I said, I really don't think that it's definitely not more rainy and gray here than it was in the Northwest, Pacific Northwest of the States. Yeah, it's very manageable and doable. Those couple of months where you're like, okay, it's too cold or it's too rainy, you just find other things to do, or you be a little bit less of a baby than me and you back up and you take advantage anyway. So anyway, if you have any questions about the weather and what it's like here, comment below. I'm happy to answer them for you. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and I hope you have a great, happy, sunshiny day. Bye.